Okay, I thought I'd do a review, a recap on my GD95 drone. Okay, so you might remember I did some updates to it. I've turned the sound down on my YouTube video. This is my YouTube video I did, what was it? That was last year. Um, so that says a year ago, right? So on this particular day, we had ideal conditions. I had 9 satellites. Now, Uh, that particular drone, I never fly it really. I didn't like the obstacle avoidance system on it really because it's not ideal for where I live because I'm surrounded by buildings and it kept detecting all the buildings around me, right? So I'm just going over this video again. Well, I'm decided to sell it anyway because I don't use it and it's not doing it any good stuck in the cupboard. I actually upgraded the batteries so the batteries are actually much stronger than they were because the ones that came with it were crap. I was only getting about a minute, about 3 or 4 minutes of flight time, and so I actually found out that the 4DRC F3 drone batteries, you have to be careful because there's other 4DRC F5, F6, F7, so. And some of those drones are actually running on a different voltage, right? Some of them run on 4.7 volts, but this particular GD95 drone runs on 7.3 volts, or is it 7.5 volts? Anyway, so because this GD95 drone works on 7.5 volts, I had a look on eBay to see if you can get batteries for it. You can actually get batteries for it. I'll try and show you what I found out. I'll show you the rest of this in a minute. I'll just pause that. Right, it's just a minute. So make sure you can see one. Oh, hopefully you can still see one. Right, so I looked yesterday and it was Banggood. Right, Banggood. So if I go to history, where is it? Oh, hang on. Where is it? I'll just go to Banggood. Right, so banggood.com. Right, so there we go. Right, so I was looking at batteries yesterday. Now, GD95 drone, 95 drone battery. Right, let me just make sure you can see that because I might not be showing up. Looks like you can see it. Right, okay, that's good. So if you look down here, they've got a whole bunch of batteries. You've got to be careful you get the right ones though, because if they're too big, they won't fit in the actual plastic case the module that goes inside the drone. Those batteries are too big, right? There are actually some smaller batteries, but you've got to make sure you get the 7 point. Where is it? Some of them are quite expensive, and I decided that rather than mess about with it, because I don't fly that drone anymore. If somebody buys it and they want to, the batteries I put in there are fine. But if you search for, it's better if you search for the 4DRC, right? Right, 4DRC F3, because those are the ones that fit it, right? So if you search for 4DRC F3 batteries, right, you can actually see, and they're a lot cheaper as well. There's actually quite a few. So there's two results. Now look at that one. You can actually use the batteries that come in that package there, that are inside there. They will actually fit the GD95 drone, because that's the particular battery that's for the 4DRC, but you can actually take the batteries out of there and put them in the GD95. They're actually 30 quid. 29.54. So I I just decided I'm going to sell the drone because I don't use it. I just don't use it really. But that's where you can get your batteries from. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you got to be very careful what you buy. That look at the bloody price of that one. That's probably a beast. It won't be for my drone. Won't be for the GD95, I should say. So if we look down here, Banggood is the place where you want to be to look at batteries because they've got a lot of batteries on offer, a lot of different ones. But if you go to eBay, your chances are you're going to get something that's second hand or used or something. But you've got to be very careful because some of these batteries are huge and they won't fit. They won't fit in the drone. You can't use them. They're too big. You've got to get the 7.5 volt one. I think it's 7.5. Or is it 7.4 volt? I can't remember. Anyway, it's definitely over 7 volts, right? So, is that the search for the... That's for the GD95. Damn it. Go back. So, go back to 4DRC. 4DRC F3. You can't find the batteries for the GD95. You know why? Because I've stopped selling it. So you've got to use the 4DRC F3 batteries, right? Just search right. Now, there's not a lot on offer right now. The 4DRC, but there is some there. There's an option there. So there doesn't seem to be a lot on offer right now. So I think they're phasing those particular drones out. I'll go back anyway. So the GD95, you're gonna have a job finding the exact battery for it because there's such a lot of them. And you've got to make sure the voltage is right. That's wrong. This one down here, it's 3.8 volt. That's no good. You got to get the 7.4 volt. Is it? Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that because there are options available for people who are flying the drones and looking for the batteries. Because you've got to go to different websites because some websites you'll be able to get the batteries. Other websites you'll have a job. eBay. I had a lot of trouble trying to find anything on there to do with batteries, right? For some reason, a lot of these are the wrong type. So what about that one? That's 7.4 volt. That's it, 7.4 volt. There's one. Look. It's going to be 2S. That looks pretty close. So if we click on that one, that looks like it could fit. That's a 2S. It says 450 milliamp though. The ones that are in the GD95, they're rated at 2,200 milliamps or something. Those batteries are pretty small. I don't know if they would fly it very long, but it is the right voltage, 7.4 volt. So yeah, those are about 20 quid for two by the looks of it. It says there's two pieces. Those would probably fit, but you wouldn't get much flight time. And that's for 20 quid for two of them. So I thought I'd cover that. Now going back to the GD95, as you can see, let me just double check, make sure I've switched over because the screen capture sometimes. Yeah, I think we're all right. So as you can see, it flies well. It does fly well, provided you're not flying in wind. Let me skip forward a bit, so skip forward. So this is where it's in the air, right? So I was flying it around my garden, but as I say, there's no gimbal on it. There's no gimbal on it, and I had the obstacle avoidance detector on, so it was driving me nuts because it kept detecting the ground because it was too low down. When you're actually up at altitude, say 50 feet, it wouldn't keep triggering all the time, but I didn't want to fly it that high because where I am, I was still trying to get used to it, you know, and I was a bit reluctant to fly it very far. And it's better if you're on the beach, you've got a little bit more room, you know, not surrounded by buildings, because the GD95 really isn't that. It isn't that brilliant, you know what I mean? It's a cheap drone, really. It's a fairly cheap drone. It's not like my Seafly Faith Mini. My Seafly Faith Mini is steady as a rock. it's a much better camera drone. And I actually got discount when I bought my C5 Faith Mini. I actually got some discounts from Banggood, and you can sometimes get discounts on there. And it actually cost me about 137, I think it was, with the discounts. I think I got 2 discounts on it. So normally it would have gone for 140 or 150 or something. I think it was around 150 or 160 or something. Actually, I think the maximum price was 173, but there'd been a whole bunch of promotions on it, and they were trying to sell them off because they were trying to move on to the next round of advanced drones, because they're always doing that. And that was around the time when the C-Fly Faith Mini 2 came out. So obviously they wanted to sell the older C-Fly Faith Mini. They wanted to get rid of them because they were moving on to the C-Fly Faith Mini 2. Well, with the GD95, it was based on another drone. I can't remember what it was called now. I can't remember the brand name, but it was... Obviously they stopped selling those. And I think the main reason they stopped selling them was because they had some issues with the batteries. The batteries weren't very long life. That's the reason why when I got mine, I was having trouble with the batteries. They didn't give you very much flight time. You were lucky if you got 5-10 minutes. Well, you were lucky if you got 7 minutes out of them, right? I'll be honest with you. So it's all right for fun, for playing on the beach, because what it tended to happen was when it ran out of power, it would climb to a certain altitude and it would do an automatic landing, and it was accurate. It would automatically land pretty well within a few feet of where you took off. So it was pretty good. So I just wanted something better, you know. I wanted something I could take video from the beach and the scenery. I didn't want I didn't want a shaky cam, you know what I mean? So let me skip forward on my video. This is the video I did. You can go, I'll put a link to it I've just copied the link. I'll stick a link to it. Oh, what am I doing that for? Because I'm making a video right now. I'll have to do it later. So let me skip forward a bit. And I was flying on my yard. I should have turned it a bit more to the right because I kept flying towards me. And I think this was the second time. This was the second time I flew it. The video quality is pretty good, as you can see. The video quality is pretty good, but it's just shaky. You know, it bounces around a lot. You know, with the obstacle avoidance, braking and all that. And so, yeah, I wasn't happy about that because of my dizzy spells. I've got some medical issues with dizzy spells, and things that are shaking around and bouncing around don't do me a lot of favours. It makes me feel worse, you know. It makes me feel a bit nauseous, you know what I mean, like seasickness. So I don't like it when things bounce around. So yeah, so as I said, this is just over a year ago, so I haven't had it long, and I decided to put it up for sale in Scarborough Selling Agency. It's in there right now, so if you want to go and grab it, it's actually at half price, so you can get cheap. It's go and talk to Chris at the counter, he'll sort you out. But don't forget, if you're flying a sub 250 gram drone, you do need to register with the Civil Aviation Authority. You need to, so I think it's a free test. The test's free, but I think you have to pay £10 or something to get your certificate. So yeah, but I mean, a lot of people don't bother with that. I mean, they just go on the beach and fly it, and as long as you don't crash into anyone, you're not going to get sued. You just got to be very careful though. Let me skip forward a bit more, because you can go and watch this video. This is where I actually climbed up to a decent height, so you can see there. And look at the battery level. So if I pause it, let's just pause it so it's not shaking around. You can see at the top, have I got, hang on, let me just make sure I've got, just a minute. I want to put cursor back on because you can't see what I'm pointing at. Settings, capture cursor. I want you to see what I'm pointing at. So if we look at the top of the screen, it's got 15 starlights, right? You should be able to see my cursor now. It's got 15 starlights, battery levels at 41% at the top there, and A stands for you know, to do with direction you're pointing in, you know, compass. That's the compass heading. 279 degrees compass heading. So it tells you which way the drone is pointing, right? And look at the time I've been in the air. I've been in the air for 5 minutes and 59 seconds. So I've been in the air for 6 minutes with that, right? 6 minutes. My battery was 41%, which is pretty good. I'll continue playing it. And it was GPS locked, so it was doing well. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with the drone as far as the GPS. You can fly it to a pretty decent height, as I'm doing there. It's the higher up you go, the better. The more satellites you seem to get locked. I mean, it's at the moment the satellites is about 14, 15, so that's pretty good. One important thing about these cheaper drones is do not fly them in the wind. You know, high winds, not a good idea, because you risk losing them forever, because they're not very strong. You know, they're not very powerful. And the other thing about it is the battery. If they're fighting against the wind, it will kill the battery really quick, because they will try to maintain their position. So if you're flying in the wind, you can expect it to run out of power pretty fast, and that's the risk. It's always a risk when you're flying a drone, a quadcopter. I like the old terminology, quadcopter. You know. So there we had 16 satellites. Yeah, at that altitude. I'm not sure. What does it say altitude? I can't remember now. Height 10 meters. It said. I was at 10 meters. So the height's over here, right, on the right hand side. I'm coming down now, so I'm at 4 meters, 3 meters. I was coming back down to land, and I started talking to somebody passing by. And now look at the bottom here. This is hard to read. That's the only gripe I've got really. Is the warning is dark red, and you can't read it. Especially if you got a brick wall in the distance, it's hard to read that low power warning. I couldn't even see it when I was flying it. They should have had bright pink or something, because I could have read that a lot easier. But that low power warning is hard to read. But I wasn't too concerned, because it's got automatic landing. It will automatically climb to a certain altitude, and I don't think it was that much. I think it was like 30 meters or something, and then it automatically lands to where you took off from, basically. It did fine. So total flight time at this time was 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes. If you look over here on the right, it's hard to see there. So about 8 minutes, 35 seconds. So it was doing quite well. It was doing quite a good job there. But at this point, I was talking to somebody passing by, and I shouldn't be doing that, because it was distracting me from what I was doing. But I was very low down, and the obstacle avoidance was doing my head in. So I'm going to pause it there. So at that point, I had 17 satellites. Battery was at 9%. I think that was 9%. So it was getting pretty low. Yeah, it was very low at that point. So yeah, I think the maximum flight time you can get out of this is probably about 9 minutes maximum, and that's the moment when you start to climb to do automatic landing. So 9 minutes max is probably what you get out of the GD95 drone. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you later. I'm gonna have to end this short video. I thought I'd show you it. Right. Bye for now.